This is Hank Scott for The Pure Truth Restored. Do you have freedom of name? Just who determines what name you call yourself? Is it beyond your control to choose or decide what name you are to be known by? What makes one name more important or lawful than another? Who decides these issues? The idle state and its lawless actors, or the private individual? Let's examine the facts logically to see what they reveal to be the essential and indispensable pure truth about the freedom of name movement now underway in the heart of America, and the cancerous battle attempting to defeat and murder this harmless infant in its crib. Since time immemorial, it has been the common practice of parents to name their newborn children. Some choose names of individuals in their family history, while almost all assume and adopt the same surname as that of their male forebears. The line that goes back historically as far as surnames goes, however, is not an unbroken one. It is littered with many subtle to total changes of name, from one language or culture to another, for instance, but also sometimes just for the fun of it, it seems. Vital question number 1. Do you have less freedom to change your own name today than your forebears before you? Some assume automatically that if something is done a certain way today, this somehow indicates it was always done this way. Not so. Social Security numbering and state-issued birth certificates are two examples of modern practices that are less than a century old and did not exist in any form prior to the time period between 1920 and 1940. Just like modern forms of mass communication simply did not exist at all prior to a decade or two ago. The new generation on the block just assumes it was always thus, without any real clue what the world once was or how it actually worked without all these modern so-called conveniences. We have anachronistic and utterly false science fiction shows that introduce modern ways, ideas, and themes into fictional, in other words, fraudulent, past times, cultures, and races, telling us the pure truth is all a big lie. But, like a thief and liar being the first to point the accusing finger of guilt at an innocent party to escape notice and capture for his or her own crimes, science fraud fiction, the opposite of reality, literally reeks with such self-righteous pontificating, demoralizing, and corruptive brain sludge. Most today also automatically assume that because courts and judges can grant name changes, that this somehow means that they are the only ones or sole legitimate way to obtain such a thing. Vital question number 2. Do these judges and courts also presume to usurp the right, power, and authority to grant names to newborn infants, dictating their names with no recourse except to go begging and pleading before another judge to change this? Why do states set up laws demanding a judge-condoned name change anyway? Could it be that the public's servants have gotten uppity and out of hand, nearly beyond control, in their mad lust for ever more power, control, and authority? You only need ask, if you think this is a given, why men who call themselves judges must first go hat in hand to the public to elect them to such offices in the first place. How is it that corporations can change their names without a court-ordered name change, but somehow private people are thought to have less rights than these public idols as supposed persons before the law? If you don't like your given name or surname, who's to say you can't change it, or them, anytime you please, without so much as a by your leave from the presumed new monarchy of judicial tyrants in our midst? Of course, should you do so, you can expect a whole boatload of disrespect and dishonor for your newly chosen name by all the state actors who presume they know better, what's best, and who to listen to for advice in all legal matters. Lying lawyers and jerk judges whose presumption of powers and privileges not delegated to them knows no bounds other than mass public refusal to be conned any longer. This would especially be true if your chosen new name happened to stipulate a form that is considered disagreeable to the true tyrants of judicial and public records, the clerks of both county and court. These despicable despots presume to change and alter all names into dead corporate, all capital letters form, regardless of what the victims of this chicanery and corruption of public records think or want, supposedly without any say in the matter, legal recourse, or remedy before the flaw or false law. Vital question number 3. If you have the power, right, and authority to name your newborn child, who has any right to tell you that you do not have the exact same right in relation to your own chosen name, whether it be Given or Sir? Hint, imagine what would happen if judges suddenly ruled naming of your children to be illegal without judicial authorization, to realize the sort of mass rebellion such an insane notion would elicit. How do you get around all this seemingly universal disregard for the pure truth, perversion of actual justice, and undermining the American way of liberty and freedom of choice practiced, rather flaunted, in courtrooms all across America today? What can you do to personally combat this behemoth that is tyrannizing the entire country, slaying the beast in its lair with its own weapons of pen and paper? How can you join the freedom of name movement yourself, if you've a good mind to? The solution is to simply file a certified statement confirmed by 2 or 3 witnesses who know and trust you, whom you can trust to vouch for the validity of your statement, titled Statement of Lawful Name, before a notary public. Should your religious belief, practice, training, and conviction forbid this, as it certainly should, you do not need to swear or affirm any oath. See Matthew chapter 5, verses 33 through 37, and James chapter 5, verse 12, for scriptural guidance on this other hot injudicial topic. In your statement of lawful name, set forth the one and only name you want to be known by from that time on, unless or until you might decide to change it again. Signing the document in that name without any reference to the former name, if you so wish, unless you want to rebut and disclaim it publicly, and file this official, because it comes from you, a sovereign citizen in the land of the free, statement in the county clerk's records, obtaining a certified copy of the filing from the clerk. This being a public record, anyone who wishes to challenge or contest your statement has the right to do so, within certain time limits, of course. Just be aware that this would also mean giving up the luxuries of robbing your fellow citizens and offspring's property and heritage through welfare and social insecurity, perhaps even retirement, not to mention battling errant state actors legally over driver's licenses, titles, and even property ownership and the like. And should any public servant, such as court clerks, who like to reinvent names in their own egotistically self-important image, decide to do a disrespectful hatchet job on your new name, such as by converting it into some other name, by spelling it differently, or shifting it into an unusual and unauthorized form, such as all capital letters, you now have ammunition cognizable in any court of law to use as evidence of their crime and of your sole and only lawful name. Vital question number 4. Who is any man or woman to deny you this fundamental right, or to disparage, disrespect, dishonor, or distort your name, especially those with injurious legal shenanigans and mischievous intent in their wicked hearts against all things pure or true? Answer this last vital question, and you will know whose name you have, yours or some slaveholder's stamp, numerical mark, or fraudulent war name, aka nom de guerre, as you learn to beware and avoid the enticing but deadly name and number of the temporary world-ruling beast prophesied in the scriptural book of Revelation.